Hi everyone, this is Niall, and today we're going to be talking about everything to do with dropshipping agents from an agent's perspective. I myself run a dropshipping agency called E-commerce Companion, so hopefully I can give you some insights. If you're looking for a dropshipping agent, maybe you want to compare dropshipping agents, know what a good dropshipping agent looks like, or maybe you've just heard of the term and you want to know what they do, this video is probably going to be for you. In my opinion, the main reason to use a dropshipping agent is to avoid scaling with a bad supplier. So often what will happen is if people start out on AliExpress and they find a good winning product, they might try to scale with the supplier and then end up finding they're having to deal with a whole load of issues that they didn't realize existed, and that can end up with having payment processor issues, ad account issues, or customers having bad experiences, etc. So obviously we want to avoid all that, and in my opinion the best way to do so is by using a dropshipping agent. In this video we're going to go through what a dropshipping agent is, alternatives to a dropshipping agent, how we work, and the summary and benefits of working with a dropshipping agent. So what is a dropshipping agent? Well, a dropshipping agent basically finds your product or sources your product for you. They store it in their warehouse and then they ship it out to customers on your behalf when new orders start coming in. Looking at it a little bit more in depth, it looks something like this. Your agent receives the product from the manufacturer. They store it in their warehouse, they do quality checks. Then if they have the product in their warehouse, they can usually fulfill it within 24 hours. If there are any quality issues, they may send some of that product, if not all of the product, back. Once the product is ready to be sent, it's picked and packed and passed over to the courier. The courier then takes it to their processing facility, and then in their processing facility, once it's processed, it's shipped out to your customer. So to understand what the best option for you is in terms of sourcing, fulfillment, etc., let's go quickly through some of the alternatives. The first alternative is AliExpress, which is probably what you've heard of, and many people start out using suppliers on AliExpress. The main pro of AliExpress is that it has loads of products just readily available for you to buy. But there are quite a few cons, mainly that you're treated like a consumer more than a business. Then there are other platforms which are kind of like AliExpress, but more verging on dropshipping agent territory. They still have a catalog, they still have a medium to high range of products, such as CJ Dropshipping, eProlo. These kind of companies, they do tend to be more expensive than AliExpress, but they also do have some pros which can be beneficial. Now, the best alternative to using a dropshipping agent in China, in my opinion, is probably using a combination of sourcing your product from Alibaba and then having it fulfilled by a 3PL in the country your customers are based. To truly understand the benefits of using a dropshipping agent in China and maybe some of the cons, I would say it's best to compare the pros and cons of using Alibaba plus 3PL as one of the best alternatives to a dropshipping agent. So let's quickly do that. So like I mentioned, with the Alibaba plus 3PL method, you are sourcing the product on Alibaba yourself. You're sending the product to a third-party logistics company, let's say in the US or wherever your customers are based, and then that 3PL then fulfills the orders on your behalf by sending them to the customer. The main pro to this method is the super fast domestic shipping times. So you're going to have shipping times in some countries of 1 to 4, 1 to 3 business days. It's also going to be really cost effective if you're doing high quantities. The reason for that is if, for example, you use the sea freight shipping method from Alibaba to your 3PL overseas, and you can manage to fill an entire container, for example, the actual cost of shipping becomes super cheap. Then in terms of communication, you're going to have a 3PL that's based in your country, or at least the country that your customers are based in. So they're going to communicate really fluently with you and hopefully keep you up to date with good customer service or client service. Now, some of the cons include you having to source for yourself. So that does take some time. You're going to have to find a good supplier. You're also going to have to receive the samples, check the samples out for yourself. That all takes time. and time is money, as they say, so it is a con. The second thing is high lead times. In this case, I would deem a lead time to be the time it takes for the manufacturer to create the product, all of that time until when your 3PL receives the product in their warehouse. It's going to take a long time just because the manufacturer is going to be in China. They're going to have to create the product, or if they already have the product, it's going to take a while to get all of the bulk shipment over to the 3PL, and so that's why I say high lead times. They're also not really going to manage your inventory for you. The 3PL will tell you at least how much inventory you have, but you're going to be in charge of deciding when you have to get more inventory. Researching how long it's going to take for the new inventory to arrive to your overseas 3PL, and planning in advance. So doing that can take a bit of time. And you're also going to be having to deal with medium to high MOQs. Using this method, you're going to be buying in bulk from Alibaba. You're going to be wanting to, make the sea freight or the air freight shipments worthwhile by sending enough product. And with those medium to high quantities and high lead times does come some inventory risk and potential cash flow issues. So if you're just a beginner, it may not necessarily be the best method for you to use. The reason being is when you have to ship, let's say, for example, a batch of 2 months worth of product to the US, and say the first batch arrives, okay? And that product is gonna take 2 months to be used up, by which point you will need more product to replace it. But the sea freight shipping times are also 2 months. So that means when you have that first batch arriving already, you haven't even received any ROI for it yet, you already have to be purchasing the next batch to be shipping almost straight away, so that in 2 months' time, you don't run out of product. If that product has any issues, for example, it's damaged, lost, etc., that is significant inventory risk that you carry. If, for example, it doesn't arrive in one piece, then you're going to have to deal with high lead times to get more product back over to the 3PL, and you're actually going to be out of pocket in terms of money as well. In terms of cash flow, obviously, because you're having to fork out so much money to buy product in advance, it can leave you with cash flow issues if you haven't got enough cash saved up. Another issue can be inventory costs. It can be a small cost compared to some of the other costs you may face, but it is a cost nonetheless. And when comparing the alternatives, you need to consider that these 3PLs are going to charge you in many cases for just storing product in their warehouse. You're also going to have to deal with expensive international shipping. So if you're running a model which is more international, then I would not necessarily go with just using a 3PL in the US, for example, because it's just going to end up costing more. It's not as cost effective as shipping from China, and in many cases it might not even be as fast. So if you're running an international model, I would actually go for using a dropshipping agent in China. But if you have, like, say, many customers in the US, but you also have a few customers elsewhere, maybe you could use a hybrid model where you have a 3PL in the US, but you also use a dropshipping agent in China to ship out those international orders. Right, so I've explained some of the alternatives from my perspective to a dropshipping agent. So let's get into now the pros and cons of using a dropshipping agent. The first two things are they're going to source your product and manage your inventory. And those things work hand in hand, because if you think about it, your dropshipping agent is not only finding the product, but also storing the product in their warehouse and shipping the product out to your customers. So they're in the best place to see how much product is left, when you need to buy more product, and when to order the product so that it arrives on time before you run out of inventory in their warehouse. So essentially, they can do all of that for you without you having to lift a finger, and it's just going to save you a lot of time. You're also going to be dealing with lower lead times. It's only going to take a few days for the product to ship from one place in China to another. So if you add maybe manufacturing time onto that, you're still going to have a lot lower lead times than if you're shipping the entire batch of product from China to a 3PL overseas. You're also going to have fast and cost-effective international shipping. Not going to be as cheap as AliExpress shipping, but it's going to be way faster. It's not going to be as fast as domestic shipping necessarily, but it's going to be way less cash flow intensive, and you're not going to carry as much risk. And finally, in terms of communication, your dropshipping agent should be treating you like a business. So it's going to be B2B communication. If you have any issues, they need to be resolved ASAP. And that's how it's going to work, as opposed to other suppliers, maybe ones that you find on AliExpress or elsewhere, who may treat you more like a consumer, may wait a few days before resolving or even responding to some of your concerns or issues. Now, over to the cons of using a dropshipping agent. The first one is potentially really detrimental for new dropshippers. Many agents require a daily MOQ being minimum order quantity. They ask that you're doing consistent orders already before you start working with them. Now, that can be an issue for many beginners because they want to sort out their product and the supply side before they start advertising, which is fair enough because they don't want to send their customers bad product and suffer the consequences. So what I would say is a solution to this is maybe start testing with very low quantities on AliExpress, or maybe an alternative like CJ Dropshipping, where they can provide maybe better shipping than AliExpress in some cases, or maybe some branded packaging, etc. Then when it comes to scale or scaling, communicate with your potential dropshipping suppliers that you have a high ROAS and you're ready to scale to 10 orders a day, 25 orders a day, 50 orders a day, whatever. Depending on the agent that you're working with, they may have different requirements. Some have on the lower end and some on the higher end in terms of MOQs. So from my perspective, if you communicate with me, look, I only have a few orders a day and they're sporadic, but I have really high ROAS. I know that you have a lot of potential to scale, so I'm not wasting my time or my company's resources by searching for new product for you, getting samples only for you later to not actually sell anything and for us to have wasted our time. The next con is specialization. So your agent is not usually going to be a specialist in any one product. They may be in some cases, but in most cases, they're going to have their hand in lots of different niches, which can be a bad thing, but can also be a good thing. The bad is obviously, they may not know as much as the manufacturer about that particular product. But on the positive side, a lot of, issues that come up are kind of like, they come up in lots of different niches. There are crossovers there. And, once you have experience in lots of different products and lots of different niches, that knowledge definitely helps for, sourcing and dealing with new products for new clients. And the last thing, which I kind of touched on before, was that your shipping times are not going to be as fast as domestic shipping times. But like I said, they're still going to be pretty fast in most cases for most countries. Now we're going to talk a little bit about my company, E-commerce Companion, and how we work. So if you want to know how a dropshipping agent works from my perspective and how I think a good dropshipping agent works in general, then this section might be of interest to you. In terms of sourcing, the first thing that we do is that we establish your requirements. On our website, you can hit Get Started. When you hit Get Started, you can fill in the form. If there are any specific requirements to your particular product that we should know about that we wouldn't know otherwise, we have a section for you to write there. And we use that to basically communicate with our potential suppliers who we're going to work with in the future, what our requirements are. And once we do that, we start getting, the prices, the MOQs from them. And we discuss with you, okay, here are your different options. Who do you want to get samples from? Once we've established who we want to get samples from, we order them, we check them out, we see what the quality is like, and we choose based on who has the best quality, prices, MOQs. Now, once you have decided, you may actually want to see the samples yourself, so we send the samples over to you. If you want us to wait until you receive the samples before moving forward, we can do that. If not, then we can get things done really quickly because, we just move forward with the supplier by ordering our first batch of product. After we got the first batch of product, we do our quality checks, make sure that the product is still as good as the samples that they gave us, because with some suppliers, they send you some really good samples and then the actual product that they send in bulk is not quite as good. Then it's on to fulfillment and shipping. So the first thing we do, obviously, store the product in our warehouse. We let you decide what packaging options you want to use. Do you want to use mailers, bags? Do you want to use boxes? What kinds of inserts do you want to use? Do you want to use branded packaging or not? Really down to, what your requirements are. You might want to be, saving money. In my opinion, it's always best to use branded packaging just because of the customer experience, but everything is down to you, really. Then we choose the best shipping lines for you. Usually we use UnExpress, but for some countries and some products, we like to use some other lines because we think in those particular situations, they're actually more stable. And then we fulfill your orders as they come in within 24 hours. So if an order comes in, we pick and pack it, then hand it over to the courier within 24 hours after your customer placed that order. And then we provide what I call automatic e-fulfillment, which is basically you not having to touch anything as far as the electronic portion of fulfillment goes. So when it comes to marking the order as fulfilled on Shopify, or sending your customers the shipping confirmation emails with the tracking information inside, that is all done from our end. What we do is we connect our system to your Shopify store through an app on Shopify, really easy to set up. And once it's set up, you essentially don't have to do anything. Once we've fulfilled your orders, then comes the after-sales support portion of the service, where we, still communicate with you daily. If there are any issues, then we try to resolve them. If you have any, for example, delays, we have direct access to the couriers on the China end, so we can communicate with them directly to look into why this particular package is delayed, how long it might take to resolve the delay, etc. And if products or packages end up being lost or damaged, then we can reship those for you. And then generally speaking, in terms of our general services, we do branding and white labeling. We also manage your costs on our Google Sheet, so you can see the summary and also a breakdown of your costs, very transparent, so you can see exactly where your money's going. We also do inventory tracking and advice. That just means that we follow how much inventory you have in our warehouse, when you need to order more, and we advise you basically, okay, we should order more very soon because you're going to run out in a week or two. Now, we usually provide 6-day-a-week support, but if you have emergencies, time-sensitive issues that need to be resolved ASAP, we can work on Sundays, etc. Fulfillment is done from Monday to Saturday. Most of the couriers don't work on Sundays anyways. We also try to proactively communicate with you because we don't want to wait until the customers have already started, complaining about things for you to find out there are issues. If there are any issues from our end that we can resolve, we'll let you know, or any issues that we think that you can resolve, we'll let you know as soon as we can. Finally, and I think this one's a really important one, we don't share your winners. Lots of other suppliers in general, using other methods, etc., will share their winners. It's in their best interest, in their opinion. If we start sharing the winners with, our clients' winners with new clients, our current clients are going to have more competition. It's going to make them less competitive or less profitable and make them less likely to be able to work with us in the future. And finally, in terms of the summary and benefit of working with an agent in China, it really comes down to two things. The first is your customer is going to have a better experience. And the second thing, which is more of the benefit side, is you're not going to have to deal with any headaches, high pressure situations because of bad suppliers. So what does a good supplier give you, or a good dropshipping agent give you? Gives you, branded packaging. It gives you branded product. It gives you faster processing and shipping times, and it actually gives you a B2B support experience rather than a B2C customer support experience where you may not hear things for days on end. And that's going to mean, like I said, less headaches for you. Less headaches because you're not dealing with chargebacks, you're not dealing with these account processor issues, You're not dealing with advertising platform issues. So once you don't have to deal with all of that, you can focus on, the profit generating or revenue generating tasks that you really want to be focusing on. And that's it for today's video. I hope you found it interesting. I've tried to be as unbiased as possible, but obviously I am a dropshipping agent myself, or at least my company is. So, I may be biased. Do keep that in mind when you're listening to my advice, etc. And if you are looking for a dropshipping agent, then do check us out at ecompanion.com. We're your e-commerce companion in China. I'll leave the link in the description. And if you're on our site already, just hit the Get Started button to start working with us. So yeah, that's it. Until next time, hope you have a good one. Peace.